Tonight on Denver 7 News at 6.
Our home was one of the many that burned down.
The most destructive fire in the state's history takes top priority in the state capitol.
We need to learn to live with wildfire.
Mismanagement or just regular course of business. We're putting a troubled school district's claims in perspective.
Plus, experts provide very encouraging news on Colorado's COVID situation.
And people in Firestone tell an oil and gas developer to leave well enough alone.
It doesn't belong right there in the middle of this big residential area.
Good evening and thank you for watching Denver 7. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Colorado lawmakers have been thinking about ways to address the threat of wildfires for years.
Following the Marshall fire, the mindset seems to be less thinking, more doing. Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez begins tonight's in-depth coverage.
We have a little home up in Grand Lake.
If you would have asked Lauren Brave a year and a half ago whether she felt lucky, the answer was a resounding yes. Her cabin barely escaped the East Troublesome fire back in 2020.
That 100,000 acre firestorm, that was a real close shave. So we really lucked out.
Because of its location, Lauren's family took active steps to protect it from fires, like cutting down trees nearby.
Something that you think about when you live in the mountains, but not in a suburban neighborhood.
In December, though, Lauren's luck took a dramatic turn when the Marshall fire came to her home in Louisville.
We found out that night that our home was one of the many that burned down.
The family hadn't mitigated around it. They didn't think it was needed because it was in a suburban area.
We need to learn to live with wildfire to create fire-adapted communities.
Mitigation is something Jim Webster knows a lot about. He works with Wildfire partners in Boulder, helping prepare homes for the worst.
Mitigation does reduce that risk. It helps more and more homes survive.
But Jim also knows mitigating properties isn't cheap. It takes time, it takes money, and it's up to the homeowners to front the bill.
The range really varies, but an average of about $5,000 and 80 hours of work.
That's where state lawmakers come in. Over the summer, an interim committee came up with 5 bills to help. 3 of them were heard in committee on Thursday. One offers incentives for local governments to work on forest management and wildfire mitigation.
We will match local governments if they have an ongoing dedicated source of funding for wildfire mitigation.
A second offers to help landowners with grants to mitigate their properties.
This allows them to be able to afford things that are kind of expensive when it comes time to mitigate those properties.
And a third creates a grant program to help counties prevent and recover from fires.
I think the package that we're bringing forward will be impactful. They're very focused efforts.
We were moving towards the right direction of ensuring that fires like the Cameron Peak fire don't occur again.
All 3 cleared committee. For Lauren and her neighbors, it's too late. But lawmakers are hoping this work and the other bills ahead could make a difference moving forward as the state learns to live with wildfires. In Louisville, Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
And a bill to provide $5 million to cover equipment and training for Colorado fire departments is on its way to becoming law. The money comes from the state's general fund. And the proposal cleared the House earlier this month and the Senate today, and now awaits only the governor's signature.
Last summer, the state signed a contract with a Colorado business for the delivery of a $24 million state-of-the-art helicopter known as the Firehawk. Now, this helicopter is outfitted with a 1,000-gallon water tank, a retractable snorkel for quick refills. It can also transport up to 12 firefighters at a time. The state expects to have this in the air by December.
Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold is again suing a county clerk, this time in Elbert County. The lawsuit requires clerk Dallas Schroeder to explain why he allegedly copied and distributed images of voting system hard drives. Schroeder has had weeks to explain his actions and has not done so. Now, Griswold also wants to force Schroeder to retrieve all election copies and allow the secretary's office to inspect them.
They broke open the voting equipment while on the phone with 2 people associated with Mike Lindell, took out the hard drives, put it into a forensic neo-imager provided to him by a third party, took 2 copies of the voting equipment. We know where one copy is. It's with an unauthorized person. And then he says the second copy is with just a quote, private attorney. So we need to both make sure that copies of voting system components are not in the hands of unauthorized people.
And we reached out to Schroeder to offer him a chance to tell his side of the story, and our request went unreturned.
Adams 14 has released an audit that claims it demonstrated poor practices by its previous management company. And tonight we're putting those claims and what they do or don't demonstrate in context. The report shows that MGT Consulting paid vendors a total of $495,000 and sometimes spent more than was originally agreed upon. In some instances, the audit suggests those vendors were performing the services that MGT was hired to perform itself.
The state board should just leave this district alone. This school board, as well as its leadership, might have a significant mess to clean up. Might have to take a look at how MGT A14 has run this district, where the holes are in the dam, have to plug up those holes.
MGT Consulting was brought in to correct several years of poor performance in Adams 14. The district has previously said it would welcome another management company, and they may be forced to do just that. MGT already has exited its agreement with the district, believing that its relationship has run its course. The State Board of Education will meet in April to determine whether Adams 14 is in good enough shape to run its own affairs. Now, excluding the 2 years spent in the pandemic, Adams 14 has a track record that includes some of the lowest scores of any district in the state, and 8 out of 10 students are not reading at grade level. Now, as for that audit, the State Board said it only received it today despite multiple requests for an advance copy. However, the Education Commissioner, Katie Anthus, noted the report does not appear to provide conclusive evidence, but instead simply directs the district to review its contracts.
If the entirety of your Wednesday evening was not consumed with watching a Douglas County School Board meeting, rest assured we have you covered. The biggest takeaway is that the district did not, in fact, release the names of employees who called in sick ahead of a large-scale protest earlier this month. Those names were requested through public record channels by an unidentified person. Immediately speaking, they were not released because that person withdrew their request, and it remains unclear if the district could have avoided releasing them otherwise. The district also addressed the threatening flyers found on teachers' cars yesterday morning.
It's very upsetting. This is no way to move forward as a district. Our teachers should be respected and supported for the work they do for our students every day. And we hope the community can come together in support of our teachers.
Doug Ho School Board President Mike Peterson also confirmed he did reach out to one-time interim superintendent Erin Kane a few weeks ago to ask if she would be open to applying for the school board position if it, the superintendent position if it opened up. And Kane currently serves as the executive director of schools for American Academy, a charter school we profiled last summer when it announced it would not be requiring masks for the fall semester. And we should note that Kane insisted at that time that she was not anti-mask. And today Kane said she was honored to be asked about the superintendent position, but that, quote, the hiring process has only just begun. So the speculation in the media and on social media is extremely premature, she writes, to say the least, adding an entire process has to take place. Now, the district's current agenda has them voting on superintendent finalists 1 week from today.
The State Oil and Gas Commission has yet to decide if a company can drill closer to homes than is usually allowed in Firestone. Now, people who live in Firestone, however, have their minds made up. Here's Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez.
A few years ago, Bill McGeehee and his family knew they found the perfect home in Firestone.
This particular lot we looked at, there was nothing here when we started looking, and of course we love the view of the mountains and the golf course.
But last year, he received a letter from their HOA letting them know of a proposal by Kerr McGee to bring in oil and gas wells near their neighborhood.
I was really quite surprised that they were going to put in such a big facility so close to the houses and all the golf courses.
Wednesday night, during a Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission meeting, it was decided to postpone approval of the proposal until March 10th, giving the company time to revise its plan and add more safeguards, as well as review alternative locations.
I have no really objection to oil and gas drilling. I think, it's important to harvest those resources and we need them, and all great. But my point all along has been, it doesn't belong right there.
In a statement, Kerr McGee's parent company says in part, Oxy is committed to protecting the company's safety and our workers. Our mitigation practices meet or exceed Colorado and Firestone regulatory requirements for noise, odor, light, traffic, and air quality monitoring.
At some point, the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission is going to have to decide if they're going to respect SB 181 or not.
Kate Christensen with 350 Colorado is referring to a 2019 law creating a 2,000-foot buffer between homes and oil and gas drilling. The latest proposal would be shorter than that distance from some homes, but could be granted if certain protections are in place.
Proximity to homes is the biggest issue. There are a number of residential units very, very close to this pad where people have health concerns and young children live. And we know that not only the noise and the odors, but also the benzene released from these wells impacts public health.
During the meeting, Kerr McGee did agree to use an electric rig and to pipe wastewater off-site. Still, it comes as little concessions to some neighbors.
I think Kerr McGee has done a lot of work in trying to make this a project as safe and mitigate things as best they can. But in the end, no amount of mitigation is going to matter. I don't want it there.
A debate a year in the making, possibly seeing a resolution in 3 weeks. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
Safeway workers will not be joining King Soopers employees in going on strike this year. The union representing workers announced today it's reached a 3-year deal that addresses paid sick leave, fair salaries, and access to affordable health care.
The state health department said today that roughly 90% of Coloradans currently have immunity against Omicron based on vaccinations or previous infection. State epidemiologist Dr. Rachel Herlihy also believes our infection rate could soon hit a low not seen since last summer.
This is, of course, impacted by the potential for a new variant that resulted in more immune escape, would change this picture dramatically. But at least for now, these projections suggest that at least until June, if no new variant were to emerge, that we should be in a good place with the level of immunity in the state.
Now, 2,100 cases of coronavirus were reported in Colorado today. 611 people are in the hospital with suspected or confirmed cases, and that is a low not seen since last August.
A serial bank robber known to the FBI as Bushy Brows Bandit has been arrested today. The Bureau did not disclose his actual name. Bushy Brows is primarily thought to have operated in the Denver metro, and he's looking at decades in prison.
We're going to melt a lot of snow over the next few days, but we have more snow on the way early next week.
Plus, Colorado's first Whataburger announces its opening date.
And Monte Morris takes and makes his shot.
Morris to win! Yes!